You've just accessed Hardware is Forever, your source for the expert insights, ideas, and innovations you need to do more in the electronics manufacturing industry. From optimization to operations, join us as we put the pieces together for a better approach to manufacturing. Let's go.
This is Hardware is Forever. Jay Patel is the CEO at Amtech. Jay, I'm excited to begin a series that is totally out of left field for me. There's a pun in there. And I'm really excited about why you want to talk about this and what it means for you. And what it is we're going to talk about game theory in manufacturing, which is not something I'm familiar with when we're thinking about manufacturing. So I guess two things. One, what is game theory as you're understanding it in this context? And two, why do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, so I think somehow I have, in the past couple of years, I got introduced to the concept of games theory. I think one of them was, I was listening to a podcast with Naval Ravikant, and he talks about, fundamental things that you need to learn in business. Like, don't get too complicated. Like, number one thing is game theory. Learn about game theory if you want to go into business or anything in general, interactions. And then I just kept on hearing it. And then I watched this phenomenal video about game theory, and it just changed my entire perspective of life. And at the end of it, it said that, the game theory has proven across many, many experiments that cooperation is what leads to the highest level of success. And, it doesn't matter how we do it. It doesn't matter what kind of experiments you pose on it. But game theory is basically figuring out how to get the results or how to prosper or how to be successful with interacting with other people. And I don't know why they call it game theory. It's called game theory, but it could be called success theory. It could be called, I don't know why they named it game theory, but at the end of the day, it's about, how we interact with others, how we make decisions, how my choices influence others people's choices, and how to win or succeed in complex multiplayer environments and interactions.
Okay, this is fascinating. So I think we're going to get into a lot of like analogies, like who are the players, multiplayer, what does that mean? And as you're describing it, it doesn't seem the same to me as gamification, although it seems related. Gamification being take a thing and turn it into a reward system. Like your social media gamifies by giving you the dopamine hit of a like or something like that. We're not talking about that, although I can see how it could sort of have some principles that connect with that. Is that accurate? We're not talking about gamification. We're talking about a way of thinking about how we exist in the world, i.e. on the game board, in context with others. Yeah?
Yeah. And I think a lot of this game theory stuff is also used to game the sales system. My kids were going into this challenge or project-based learning challenge, and it was basically about business and how they price things. So basically, one of the things that they do is they price the medium significantly higher than the small size, and you get a bigger increase. But then when it goes from medium to large, they don't price it that delta as high as much. So when you look at it, you're saying, if I go from small to medium, it's that price. But if I go to medium to large, so people end up just saying, I'm just going to go from small to large. They gamified it. And I don't know what the right term is, but that is what game theory is how do we get and how do we pose ourselves to get the outcome that we have in a multiplayer, multi-consumer, multi-person environment.
Who are the players then? In your mind, as you're thinking this through, or even just in your life or at work, who are the players that you have to be aware of on your board, so to speak?
So the way that I look at it is I'm player number one and everybody else I'm interacting with. They're player N plus one or one, and then to N amounts. It's just everybody else. I'm player number one. Now I have to figure out what I want. I have to figure out what they want and what do I do to get that? And what do they need to do? What signals are we looking and giving to each other to get what we want? So, and the thing is, it's like we're playing a game of poker where the cards that are being dealt to me in my hand are conditional on somebody else's interaction with me.
Do I need to, I mean, you brought up poker. So then I think about like all the strategy of poker. Do I keep secrets? Do I bluff? And I can see where you'd say sometimes, but maybe the bigger question is, do I need to lose for you to win? Or am I trying to beat you in the game of life kind of thing as you see it?
So this is the thing, right? There's two types of outcomes or two types of games we can play. There's a zero sum game and there's a positive sum game. Zero sum game means that there's one winner and multiple losers in that. So I'm just looking out for myself or vice versa. And then to the victor goes the spoils. So in poker, for example, that is a zero sum game where if I win the round, I get all the money. There's no, we win as a group. However, people who have done card counting have worked together to go against the casino and share the winnings amongst the group. Now, for them, that's a positive sum game because even though there's 5 people there, all 5 of us are really on the same team. And if we win, we all win. And if we work together, the spoils will be greater for us. So there's a zero sum game and a positive sum game that everybody plays. And as a society, as a company, if you assume that you don't have a finite amount of time, that time is long, either infinite or decades, then zero sum games don't work out in the end. You have to have a positive sum game because I could keep on winning. I could keep on winning at poker and I keep on winning. And then ultimately I'm going to get kicked out. Nobody's going to want to play with me or I'm going to get kicked out and blacklisted from every single casino in the world because they just don't want to keep on losing to me. So if we assume that and we want to win the game and play it long term, then we always have to revert back to a positive sum game.
That's fascinating because as you were talking about the casino, I was thinking, okay, so we can sort of imagine an antagonist. It's us against the casino. And the casino is also it has its own game theory where they are trying to win. And I very much appreciate sort of your bullet point at the end, which is those circumstances might happen. Like we might need to try to overcome this thing. But in the long game, in the grand scheme, if all we're trying to do is defeat something else or somebody else, we won't grow. Like we won't win, air quotes. We'll just be in this cycle of continuing to find the next sort of challenge, the next sort of antagonist. We won't ever focus on the collective. Yeah.
And even if you do, it's a scorched earth type of, like, let's say I don't get kicked out of all casinos. I'm such a great poker player. I put all of the casinos in the world out of business. Then I don't play the game anymore. Although I've won it, but then there's the game's over.
So as you started our conversation, and we're going to have several episodes about this, and I'm excited about that. But you said you learned some things that sort of changed how you see things. Describe that a little bit to us. Like, so what did these principles do in shifting your perspective on what, relationships or the way you were seeing the big picture? Or talk to me a little bit about that. I think,
whether you talked about theory of karma or you talk about so you get what you put out. And I think this kind of took added empirical evidence to that fact. Like, all these things are all theories. They call them theories, and then you have to experience them on a subjective basis to be able to see if it works. And sometimes it works. Like I was a nice guy and, the guy at the store gave me a free drink because I was nice. It's like, yeah, that was theory of karma. That was great, But then there's other times where theory of karma, we think we're nice, but we don't get the outcome that we want. So it's very, very difficult to us to aggregate the information to see if cooperation or if a positive sum or a zero sum game actually works. And I think after studying it, understanding the different experiments, it has given me a outlook in life where that the best outcome for everybody is if we use a positive sum game. Even those people who want to play a zero sum game will eventually fail. And I think we've seen that across society and humanity. Whenever there's a prevalence of selfishness, of evil, of unfairness, that those type of things haven't lasted long. But the places where there is cooperation, where there is a positive sum game, in whatever system you want to call it, whether it's a macro level or a micro level, those things tend to overcome challenges and are more stable. So, we say the world, like business sucks and you have to be shrewd and you have to be cutthroat, and life, you have to be cutthroat. And I think you almost have to be immoral and unethical to get ahead. And I think at the end of the day, I realized that those are all zero-sum wins that are finite. That is not something you can build like true wealth on, true joy on, true happiness on. It always leaves a void in you. And it just solidified the fact that positive sum games where everyone wins together, it is the best short-term and long-term play available to us.
How does this translate into business? The people and the players and the departments and the responsibilities. Talk to me a little bit about how the idea of game theory can be adapted, or the perspectives can be sort of emulated when it comes to how somebody's doing their job.
Yeah, I think we had one in sales, right? Like, when we sell different things, how we share and how we make it a win-win situation. With the theaters and popcorn, and that they're giving us a feeling that we got a great deal. Whether we got the great deal or not is a whole other story. But at least we feel like, we got the combo deal with a large popcorn and drink. Like, I just dropped $15 on that, but that's okay. It makes me feel that way. And I think also when it comes to in business is hiring, like do our vision of the organization, incentives, culture, all add up so then we can hire the right people and play the game the way that we want to play the game. So we have to be able to create that great team. And how do we do that? Again, culture, incentives, long-term thinking, long-term vision, stability. And then operationally, I think a big one is like, we're in this together. Nobody's going to get ahead further than anybody else. Like, we're on this boat together. So let's not blame anybody. Let's not put anybody down. Let's not overstress anybody. Let's figure out a way where we can all work together, all support each other, and get to the destination that we need. So like, it really stops the blame game and the victim mindset, because for us to play the game, we all have to be engaged.
I'm going to save my next questions for our next episode. Jay Patel is the CEO at Amtech.
Interesting. So one thing, interesting thing that I understood is game theory doesn't necessarily help you play the game, but it helps you choose the right game to play in the right situation.
Wow. So it's a device that lets us prioritize our direction. In that way, for you, as you see it, what does it mean to choose the right game?
So I think, every game is different, every interaction is different, every outcome that we want, or our perception of positive sum changes. The subject, like we could be positive sum in family versus positive sum while we're driving, which is positive sum, versus watching a movie in the theater or playing sports. There's different things that we have to have a positive sum outcome for. So when you're in a particular situation, I think it helps you create the structure of which game is the right game to play. Like if we talk about the game of life, there's a lot of rules of the game of life that we need to understand. So we're playing the right game. It's like we all play the game of life, but we play the game differently. And some of us figure out the right game to play and we get our perception of success, and other ones we don't. And because we choose the wrong game to play in that particular scenario. So we don't then.
Jay Patel is the CEO at Amtech. Fascinating thinker, and I'm really excited to be diving into this and learning together. as we figure it out. Thanks, Jay. I will talk to you in the next one.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. And a special thanks to our subscribers and followers. Consider becoming one today wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. Hardware is Forever is designed, tested, engineered, and built by the manufacturing experts at Amtech. Learn more and let us help you envision your next project with a free Design for Manufacturing assessment at buildamtech.com/DFM.